Welcome back to Stuttering Sports. Today is July 9th, 2021, and the topic for today is the Denver Broncos, why I think they had the most underrated offseason and why I think they're the most underrated team heading into the 2021 season. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Obviously, very early on, they hired new GM, General George Paton, who has been a name that's been bounced around a lot of open GM positions, but he just now finally chose to go to the Broncos. And me personally, I was thinking, why? Why would you go to Denver? They're in the division with Los Angeles, with Kansas City. Drew Lock just had a very iffy year. They're coming off of a lot of injuries. But we saw why. We saw why almost immediately during free agency, where they went out and star-studded their secondary. During both the draft and during free agency, they re-signed Justin Simmons to a massive contract, very deservingly so. Then they went out and signed Kyle Fuller, Ronald Darby, and drafted Patrick Surtain with the 9th overall pick. And you could say that's going overboard with the secondary help, considering they also drafted 2 safeties during the draft and 1 extra cornerback during the 7th round. You could say that's going way overboard, but when you're in the same division as Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes, I think they're doing it just right. I don't think you can go too overboard when you look at the Chiefs' current offense. You simply can't. Get as much talented guys on that secondary as possible and let Vic Fangio simply do his thing. That's exactly what they did, and I love that they did that. That is without a doubt one of the best things that any team has done this offseason, just the Broncos' commitment to the secondary, and also getting the fact that, hey, we're in the division as guy who just got $500 million contract, and then Justin Herbert, who had a fantastic rookie season. And you cannot really count out the Raiders because Henry Ruggs is very fast. They too have Darren Waller. Derek Carr's not bad, but you're in a division with 3 talented receiving cores, and 2 of them have fantastic quarterbacks leading those respective offenses. So I do think the Raiders' commitment to the secondary was great. They obviously still have Bradley Chubb and Von Miller. They have Alexander Johnson. They also drafted Barrett Browning, which I think was a steal during the late 3rd round. But the transition to the offense, because we know the defense is very good. We already know that. They got some great pickups. They already had some great players. Just hopefully they can stay healthy. We know the defense is very good. But with the offense, this is the shaky part, because the offense, they had the chance to draft Justin Fields. Now they chose not to. That's interesting. On one hand, I really like it because you're kind of sticking with Drew Lock. You want to see his potential out, and you want to see if maybe Teddy Bridgewater can push him to be better. That is the hope with that. But on the other hand, he didn't play well last year. Let's just not ignore that. I don't think jumping the ship to Justin Fields would have been a bad move one bit, but I do like how they're sticking with Drew Lock, because I do think that some teams tend to panic way too early on with quarterbacks. So I do like how they're sticking with them and trying to get some competition in there with Teddy Bridgewater. They traded him for a 6th-round pick. That's an easy trade to make. So I think regardless, their quarterback play may not be great unless Drew Lock really does step up, because Teddy Bridgewater, he's fine. There's nothing really wrong with him, but there's nothing great about him. And then Drew Lock, that's kind of the same motion there. There's nothing wrong, but there's nothing great. So I do think if he can't step it up, then that's unfortunate, because they had the chance to draft Justin Fields, who I personally very much like. And they also had the chance to draft Mac Jones too, but they stuck with Drew Lock. I personally do respect that a lot. Looking at the weapons, though, and the offensive line, during the 2nd round, they went out and drafted Javonte Williams to pair him with Melvin Gordon. That, to me, is fine. I get Melvin Gordon has 1 year left on his deal, but I don't think that was a big position of need, especially when you could have just continued to bolster that defense or continue to bolster the offensive line. I have nothing against it, because Javonte Williams is a very good back, and he's a very good back prospect. And pairing him with Melvin Gordon, that's a very good duo. So I do think there's nothing wrong with it, because let's just say the quarterback play is bad, then now you have a far more dynamic rushing game. But I would have preferred bolstering the offensive line. That's my only real complaint. But But on the other hand, there's still nothing wrong with giving Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater a far more dynamic running game. Looking at the receivers, Cortland Sutton was obviously out for damn near all of last season. Hopefully he comes back and stays healthy because he's a treat to watch. He is one of the most underrated receivers right now. Then speaking of being very underrated, Jerry Jeudy fits that exactly. He was the second receiver drafted last year during the star-studded receiver class, and he got overshadowed immediately by guys like obviously Justin Jefferson. Chase Claypool had a great year. Henry Ruggs was just fine. He got overshadowed by the other receivers pretty easily, but Jerry Jeudy, that man's route running is incredible, and him and KJ Hamler, hopefully KJ Hamler continues to develop too, but Jerry Jeudy, I expect a big year from him, but it does kind of depend on their quarterback play, which, as we've said, that's a big toss-up. We have no real clue, but Jerry Jeudy will be that reliable target. And, talking about the offensive line, Garrett Bowles had a hell of a 2020 season. The only real issue with the offensive line is the center position. Lloyd Cushenberry, the third-round pick from LSU in 2020, he fucking sucked. Let's just be honest. He did show some improvement throughout the year, to be fair, but he was a very bad center. I get that he was a rookie, so I'm going to give him some benefit of the doubt, but he was pretty fucking trash. They drafted a center during the late third round again, which I don't see an issue with, but getting Landon Dickerson during the second, that would have been, to me at least, a far better move than getting Javonte Williams, because you get the bona fide interior offensive lineman, hopefully center, with Landon Dickerson. Putting that position off until damn near the fourth round, I don't think that was the best move. But I will say, though, the Broncos had a fantastic draft. They had a fantastic free agency. Then heading into the season, they have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. That is why I see them kind of like how the Bears were like last season. The Bears did not have a great offense. They had very bad quarterback play, but their defense and running game carried them to the playoffs. And I could see that happening for the Broncos. I don't see how you can make the argument that it can't happen. The defense is incredible. The secondary, oh my God, it got revamped so quickly. And the pass rush with Bradley Chubb and Von Miller, Shelby Harris, it's back. Just please to God stay healthy and have the offensive line. Hopefully the young guys can continue to develop. That's the same thing with the receivers. Hell, the receivers are all very young. This is a very young offense, and in most cases that wouldn't really cause for them to be a playoff team. But with a defense like how Denver has, they could potentially be carried. They're in a very rough division with Los Angeles and Kansas City. But, I mean, hell, with 7 playoff spots and now 17 games, anything can happen. And the last thing I'd like to mention, kind of just piggybacking from the quarterback talk, definitely get Aaron Rodgers. If you can do that, I don't care what you give up. You're a Super Bowl contender instantly. Instantly with Aaron Rodgers. The Broncos with a fantastic defense, a dynamic rushing game. The offensive line's fine, and good weapons. Yeah, that makes the AFC West have 3 great teams. That would be the most fun division to watch if you can get Rodgers. Broncos, you get Rodgers. That's going to do it for me today. If you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. And yeah, hope you enjoyed and have a great day.